Ahoy, chaps! Oh, hello there. Hello, Ira. Oh, hello there. I just saw Dune not too long ago in a Dolby Cinema. It was loud, I had a headache for 2 days afterwards, and I loved it. Dune was directed by Denis Villeneuve, a master director that a lot of people know as the guy who spoke ill about the Marvel movies. Oh no! I love this director, and coming off of his last film, Blade Runner 2049, I was ecstatic for this movie. Before I go further with my discussion, I will say I didn't know anything about the Dune world. I haven't read the books, I haven't seen the David Lynch film that apparently sucked. I've only seen this. Only this. That being said, in Dune, the movie follows the Atreides family as they start gathering spice on a sand planet. To start off, the director just knows what the heck he's doing behind the camera. All the visuals look incredible, as well as most of the CGI. The world of Dune is outlandish with high fantasy, while also being incredibly believable. I can see how people would live on this planet. The production of the film is top-notch perfection. There's obviously a bunch of futuristic machines and spice harvesters, but there's also sacred trees and ancient libraries and traditional ideas. That mixture of a sort of traditionalism with futuristic design not only was visually stunning to look at, but was also very believable. The sound design was awesome, mixed in with the visuals, and the lighting. Oh, there was a specific scene where there was this ritual chant, rain was pouring, and one of the characters was going, oh. The sound design used there was super effective. There's also tiny details that I loved in this movie, like the visuals of the landscape, the details behind the sand walking, and the spice itself. There is so much intrigue to everything that I just want to know so much more about. The novel apparently is full of tiny details that flesh out the world. Even though the source material is just full of details, I'm kind of glad that they didn't go fully into exposition mode. This film takes a while to set up its events for sure, but it didn't completely lecture the audience, and I like that. One aspect I really liked about this movie were the costumes. There's a lot of detail within the costumes, as well as the aesthetics of the costumes itself. They're really cool to look at, and they offered so much. I've talked a lot about the visuals and the feel of the movie, but I haven't really talked a lot about the story itself. It really is a simple journey that focuses mostly on the world and its environment. It's a science fiction story, but the presentation of the world itself was just immaculate. The real story of Dune Part 1 can really just be summed up to people harvesting sand on a sand planet, and some stuff goes wrong. That's really it. The real goal was to somehow find a way to harvest the spice, and to understand and almost conquer the environment around them. And I found that really interesting to watch for me. The acting was serviceable for most of the part. There was quite a bit of stone facing. There's some memes floating around of Josh Brolin's character. There's a dead expression that's supposed to be a smiling face, which is pretty funny. But for what this movie tries to go for and what it tries to achieve, it does a great job. When it ended, I was definitely running off the high of the energy of the movie, but the story and where it ends did leave me disappointed. This is Dune Part 1, so I knew that it wouldn't be the full story, but I didn't expect it to be as incomplete as it was. And this really is one of my biggest issues, if not the biggest issue that I have with the movie. Just where and how it ended, and it just left me unsatisfied. The best thing to compare it to would be the Lord of the Rings films. Those films were split into 3 different movies. However, there was still a conclusive arc within each film. They all worked separately. However, where Dune ends, it should have been an intermission rather than the ending itself. I will say I personally don't blame the filmmakers for this, because Warner Brothers didn't even greenlight Part 2 until well after this film was out of theaters. In fact, Denis Villeneuve wanted to shoot all of it together. I will say this to Warner Brothers. Not having faith and trust in your projects, especially at this size, only hinders said projects from excelling. And I truly believe that some of the minor problems along with how this film is paced out would have been fixed, or at least touched up, if they actually, allowed them to finish it all and film it. How are you supposed to make the next epic, like Lord of the Rings, if you're afraid to at least, take a little bit of a risk on it? It's like, this is what I mean, so there might not have even been a second film. If this movie did poorly, or didn't reach what Warner Brothers would have wanted it to reach, we might not have even gotten a part 2. It's very upsetting. I'm very mad. That being said, I will say I'm excited to see part 2 and where everything goes. All of the positives I mentioned and, the personal details that I just love about this movie, it helps me with some of the problems that I had. I think a lot of people are feeling the same way about these pacing problems. However, I had a great experience seeing this movie, and I would love to revisit this one in the future. I loved it, and I'm giving this one an 8 out of 10. That's all. Goodbye. Oh!